Hello, I am Brian Foster, and today I'm going to talk about elemental spirits and the beginnings of spirits. And this was presented to us in the Spirits book by Allan Kardec. I suggest everyone read that. Allan Kardec is the codifier of Spiritism, meaning he did not just talk to one uh, spirit or a very high spirit. He actually was not a medium per se. He took part in mediums meetings, and what he did, he found that interesting. And he wrote a series of 1,019 questions to various meetings throughout Europe, mostly around Paris and France. And what he did is he didn't codify the answers from those questions unless he had two or more mediums come back with the same or similar answer to the question. So what he did is he codified answers from a very high group of spirits led by the Spirit of truth, as promised by Jesus Christ in the New Testament. I will send you a consoler to give you more information. So, but now this is a very interesting part in the Spirit's book. And it's kind of an indirect message as far as how spirits were actually created, how we're created. We're spirits, we're immortal. We can't die, we're here forever. We are here on earth in this physical body to learn, to go through trials and tribulations, to change our attitude and our character for the better, to rip out primitive emotions and replace them with uplifting emotions, love, charity, honesty, fraternity. So let me get to it. This is in the Spirits book. Question 539. In the production of certain phenomena of storms, for example, is it a single spirit that acts or a mass of spirits? And the answer is a mass of spirits, or rather, innumerable masses of spirits. Now, what this question is also is not just spirits with, like us, with free will, but there's also spirits kind of more elemental spirits that do lower level jobs that don't quite have complete free will. Now, this becomes more enlightening when we go to the next question, question 540. Do the spirits who exert in action over the phenomena of nature act with knowledge and intention in virtue of their free will, or from an instinctive and unreasoning impulse? And here is the answer. Some act in the one way, others in the other. To employ a comparison, figure to yourself the myriads of animalcule that builds up islands and archipelagos in the midst of the sea. Do you believe that there can be in this process no providential intention, and that this transformation of the surface of the globe is not necessary to the general harmony? Yet all this is accomplished by animals of the lowest degree in providing for their bodily wants and without any consciousness of their being instruments of God. In the same way, the spirits of the most rudimentary degrees are useful to the general whole, while preparing to live and prior to their having full consciousness of their action and free will. They are made to concur in the development of the various departments of nature, in the production of the phenomena in which they are the unwitting agents. They begin by executing the orders of their superiors. Subsequently, when their intelligence is more developed, they command in their turn and direct the process of the material world. Still later, again, they are able to direct the things of the moral world. It is thus that everything in nature is linked together, from the primitive atom to the archangel, who himself began at the atom, an admirable law of harmony, which your mind is as yet too narrow to seize in its generality. The end of the quote, or the end of the answer. What are they telling us? That we start as primitive logical groups, like an atom, or in, of course you can see this. You can look at the spirit world in two different ways. One is its physicality, where mind is your mind thinks and it creates action and it creates things that look real to us. Or you can look at it mostly as a ball of data where we are logical constructs and yet we see everything and sense everything through routines, subroutines, and these things become real to us. They become textual. And we see a wall, there is a wall. We see a spirit, we are a spirit because we think there is, but we're actually just information going through and processing it through predetermined programming. But people want to look at it different ways. But you can look at it both ways, because when we're in the middle, as we're in life right now, and we think we're solid. We think a wall is a wall because that is what the programming tells us. Now, the Spirits book also tells us how we started. We are free-willed spirits who someday will become very high and advanced spirits as we learn through life after life. But what the question 540 told us, the answer to it was that we started out as a very simple logical construct. And here, in talking to Allan Kardec in the 1850s, they didn't talk about logic and data and programming. That wasn't even concepts one could talk about at that point in time. But they're talking about things like the atom, the smallest unit of information that people could find out at that time. And that's what we were. We started out as very primitive beings. And then we got to be more and more complex as we went through different incarnations and different levels, and we learned more and more things. We were elemental spirits, meaning that we just kind of followed orders. We had a routine, do this. We kind of did it without thinking, and then we became smaller animals, insects, higher animals with some free will, some kind of our own independent action. And as we got higher and higher, and we were given free will, and we started to uh, accumulate moral precepts, right? The divine laws by God, we became higher and higher spirits. So that is what question 540 told us. So we start out very simple, and now we are here at this complex pinnacle. But we can't think that we're at the pinnacle. We're at the pinnacle, but we're at the bottom of it because we are spirits who are being trained. We're still primitive spirits. Well, not so primitive, but we are just very learning. We haven't learned how to take out of our primitive emotions, hate, envy, jealousy, and replace them with emotions of love and charity and fraternity for us to want to serve people instead of be served by people. So if you want to know more about the spirit world and spirits themselves, read my book, Spirits in the Spirit Universe. It's book 2 of a series of 3 books all about. Book 1 is Heaven and Below. Book 2 is Spirits in the Spirit Universe. It tells us about spirits, spirits' attributes, so you can learn who you are and what place you are now in this wonderful spirit and physical universe. God bless.